that I would love to discuss right now regarding Francis Ngannou. We talked about it briefly in the previous live stream, but we're going to talk more about it in detail, or maybe give it a little bit more focus. Now, before I talk about Francis Ngannou, I want to bring up other people that are not Francis Ngannou that may have gotten themselves into the same type of trouble. John Jones is one example of that. Obviously, John Jones has been in the forefront of controversies regarding running people over with his vehicle. Now, there are different circumstances that are in play here. For one, Francis Ngannou is right now in Cameroon where the incident happened. So as a result of this incident happening in Cameroon, there is a chance that Francis Ngannou can pay people under the table. That's the reality of the situation. I know that's not something that a lot of people are going to be very fond of hearing, maybe even offended by the notion that there's corruption going on in third world countries, but that's the reality of the situation. That is the reality of Francis Ngannou right now and his PR agents. So they've done this for John Jones, who's ran people over. They've done this for Eubank Sr., okay, coming off of the recent headlines that he made being in his son's corner in the recent fight. He's done this as well. Who else has done this? Prince Nassim comes to mind. He's ran people over before. The list goes on of all the different people that I could list to you in terms of trying to get themselves out of trouble. Celebrities all the time get away with these particular aspects of, of hit and run, accidents and things of this nature. They have a team behind them that can help them. This is what happens when you are a mega celebrity. Now, can you put Francis Ngannou in that same category? Of course. I think with the help of Turki El-Sheikh, PFL, even the UFC, all these three powerful conglomerates, that is, if you want to consider PFL a powerful conglomerate for whatever it's worth in the modern understanding of what they are right now. But either way, he's got powerful entities behind him. Not so much the UFC, obviously, because the UFC has parted ways with him. But nonetheless, right now, all the contributing factors that made Francis Ngannou a celebrity, whether it was the UFC machine or whether it's the current machine that he's in the PFL, for all that's worth, and also the machine that is behind the Saudi Arabian regime, which is Turki El-Sheikh. Okay, all of those things are a factor as well. You know what I mean? They are all a factor. The reason why they are all of a factor is because it's what made him a superstar. As a result of becoming a superstar, you have to be protected. Now, here's the thing about Francis Ngannou that I think is really interesting. He's not a controversial guy. He's not a guy that is, how do I say this, scandalous in any kind of capacity. He doesn't garner attention for the negative reasons. And that's really what it comes down to, is that he doesn't get himself into trouble, but this time he is. And this is one of those situations where his PR team has to work extra hard. Shout out to Boris Chan. He said, "Hi, my name is Boris. How are you, Boris?" He says, "Great channel." Thank you so much, my brother. I hope that you like and subscribe to this channel, because I would love for you to be my longtime audience and my longtime listeners and consistent listeners that come in and tap into all of my videos, all of my live streams, because I do try and put out the best content possible for you guys to not only learn from informative perspective, but also give you some of my experiences as well when it came to the world of professional fighting, the world of corporate America, and the world of geopolitics all rolled into one. War sports, shout out to you. He says here, but PFL is now in contract with the UFC. Is that right? Because of tariffs. Interesting. Turki El-Sheikh is like Boris Chan. Turki El-Sheikh is like Boris Chan. Oh, that's interesting. What an interesting comparison that you made for Boris Chan to be like that of Turkey El-Sheikh. I tell you what, speaking of Turkey El-Sheikh, I saw a video of him pulling up in North London, obviously where the fight had taken place with Eubank and Conor Benn. All these English dudes were pulling up in his car. They love him, man. They love them some Turkey El-Sheikh. They love some turkey like it's Thanksgiving Day, let me tell you. But not only that, also, if you're, let's say, from Newcastle, you would love the Saudis even more, because if you are a fan of Newcastle FC, guess what? They're probably doing very good because of the fact that the Saudis are bringing in money to bring in top players. So for all those that are Newcastle fans, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Platinum Hoops Federation says John Jones is greater than Ngannou, so it has a greater sign. So I'm assuming what you're trying to convey with that message is that now John Jones is the good guy and Francis Ngannou is the bad guy. That's an interesting thing that you pointed out there, War Sports. I'm going to tell you why. Shout outs to Monster Cole. He says hello. Shout outs to you, my man. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, because we've got some interesting topics to talk about, not only with Francis Ngannou and the situation he has going on when it comes to possibly getting arrested or possibly having this go away. And I'm going to explain both of those situations, right? Sort of like Vitaly in the Philippines right now, but I don't know how similar that is, or it isn't. It isn't similar. And I'm going to tell you why, because there's an election season going on in the Philippines. And as a result, what they're trying to do is make an example out of Vitaly. So he basically created havoc and chaos at the wrong particular time of a political strife that is going on in the Philippines right now, where he could be used to be made of an example of. Furthermore, Francis Ngannou did not have malicious intent here. So that means something, which is why I say that Platinum Hoops Federation's comment here, where he says John Jones is greater than, has the greater sign. If you guys, do algebra or geometry or whatever, right, has the greater sign towards John Jones, basically saying that maybe he has the moral high ground to this situation. Well, not so fast, because Francis Ngannou was not inebriated, although we don't know, because let me explain why. And this sort of gets into the detailed information that I'm going to give you guys regarding this subject. So there's a PR team right now on the ground in Cameroon helping out Francis Ngannou with his situation. JuiceMan562 says Jones is the GOAT, though. LIMO. Okay, well, he is. I mean, in comparison to Francis, I would say Francis is probably the more decorated fighter. I'm sorry, John Jones is the more decorated fighter over that of Francis Ngannou, and reason being is because of the fact that John Jones has a longer title run. He's won in 2 different weight classes. Not that that matters for Francis, because obviously Francis is not the type to get down to 205 anyway to accomplish the same thing. But nonetheless, John Jones is just the more accomplished fighter, and that's just really all there is to it, right? But who has the moral high ground right now? According to Platinum Hoops Federation, it is John Jones. So John Jones is the GOAT, though. This is my opinion. JuiceMan562 says, all right, well, that is your opinion, of course. But many people do agree with that opinion, including myself. John Jones never lost. A lot of people say that George St. Pierre is the greatest of all time, but he had 2 losses, which he avenged on some Lennox Lewis tip, right? But at the same time, who has the better record? Who has the better, longer streak, which is John Jones? Obviously, he's never lost. So you can't put him in that same category. Also, furthermore, here's something that I want to bring up for you guys, right? The UFC right now has very high difficulties when it comes to re-signing or getting a deal done with a new network, in particular Netflix. We're going to talk about that, as well as us talking about Francis Ngannou's current situation right now, because this is something that I sort of have experience in when it comes to damage and control, when it comes to helping out a politician, or when it comes to helping out a public figure. This is something that I have expertise and understanding in, and I want to be able to convey that message for you guys. Juice Man says, I sub to you. Thank you so much. Shout outs to Juice Man 562. Everybody give him a warm welcome. He is now a new subscribee to the Kyrie Abu El-Kheer MMA channel, the most epic mixed martial arts channel in the history of mankind, and I'm about to show you why. So Netflix is having a hard time with the UFC because they don't want all of the UFC's product. You see, they're catching on. A lot of you that are complaining about the Apex cards, the oversaturation of cards that is going on. A lot of you that are complaining about this, the Netflix also has complaints about this as well. What do you mean I'm going to go and take Apex cards? What do you mean that I'm going to go and take these cards that have really low star quality? Shout out to Canada. Eli Jane Carrier has Canada's flag on the comments, and shout out to him. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and everybody give Eli a warm welcome that's in the chat right now. So Netflix is figuring out they don't want this deal. The reason why they don't want this deal is because they don't want the oversaturation. Now, look, Netflix, would you say that Netflix is an oversaturated type of company? Probably not. I wouldn't say so. I'm going to tell you why. Everything that they want out of Netflix is high quality. Cobra Kai, The Cage, which is a French mixed martial arts movie, by the way, a movie about a French kid who is trained by Georges St-Pierre and by John Jones, and also getting snubbed by none other than, what's his name, Cyril Gane, which I think took place during or just right before the fight of Cyril Gane and John Jones. So there's a storyline in between that. Nonetheless, it's great quality that they got overall in Netflix. Is a LaRon Murphy versus a Josh Emmett main event. By the way, great fight. Josh Emmett and LaRon Murphy could be a great fight night card. Well, a pay-per-view, rather, maybe in the early prelims or something to that extent. But is it pay-per-view worthy? Not yet. Obviously, Josh Emmett is a known name. He's a name that is known in the circles of hardcore mixed martial arts fans. Same thing with LaRon Murphy, and even worse for LaRon Murphy because he's coming up. Now, the pros and cons about this whole theater system that they have going on with the saturation of cards that the UFC has is that it allows many fighters to accumulate as many fights as possible. By the way, Kevin Holland is the lucky recipient of that reality. You see, Kevin Holland was able to take up all of these different fights based on the fact that there were a lot of fights available during the pandemic. He took advantage of it, took fight after fight after fight. Now look at Kevin Holland. He's a star. Now he got himself a Khamzat fight, even though he got slept or choked out in the first round. Nonetheless, it was a Khamzat fight, and he's in a lot of high-profile fights, as a matter of fact, right? That is the reward that you get, and he makes six figures, makes more money than most regular doctors, I would assume, based on the accumulation of fights that he has and the salary increase that he's gained over the years, and is now a legitimate superstar in some circles beyond hardcore mixed martial arts communities. So as a result of that, what did Eli Jane Carter here say? I don't will us pick up Canada. Canada can have the respect. Canada is the king. Okay, not USA. Yes, Canada. All right. Well, shout out to you. Obviously, I live in the United States. I love it here. But you know what? I love Canada as well. I love Vancouver. Sorry to all the people that have had that tragedy happen recently. I believe there was a Filipino festival in Vancouver, and I'm very familiar with the Vancouver community. I know there's a huge Filipino community out there. I visited when I was a teenager back in 2000 when I was like 15 years old. So I know they have a very strong Filipino community there. I know they've always had a strong Chinese community. No Chill MMA, Kyrie. I am having trouble with a Muslim friend of mine, and I'm looking for some advice. Okay. Everybody, shout out to No Chill MMA. Subscribe to his channel. He's a strong ally of mine in YouTube. And yes, I would like for you to subscribe to him because he's an ally of mine. An ally of mine is an ally of yours. And if you like me, you're going to love MMA, No Chill MMA even more. So please subscribe to his channel. So what is No Chill says here? Apparently in Islam, there is a practice called hijama where you cup up until you bleed out. Yes. Okay. This is a practice that even non-Muslims do. You see a lot of fighters do this. So what does he say here? Where you cup until you bleed, but he is losing a dangerous amount of blood and abusing the practice. What can I say to him? Okay, so this is my advice to you on No Chill MMA. What you have to tell your Muslim friend that is abusing his body due to this method that, by the way, is considered sunnah by the practice of the Prophet, peace be upon him, is that you cannot practice gruesome acts of aggression against yourself. You see, in Islam, we respect moderation. That is the key of Islam. I know that that doesn't sound like the most stereotypical thing that a lot of you hear in Fox News or other anti-Islamic platforms, but the reality is in Islam, there is a moderation to everything that you do. For example, if you are pregnant during Ramadan, are you allowed to fast during Ramadan? No, you're not. If you are Uncle Liev and you are telling everybody that you are fasting during Ramadan, are you allowed to break your fast? No, you're not. Because Uncle Liev is a perfectly healthy man, but obviously he wants to keep a certain advantage during that fight, and so he did, and that is why he's now the undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world. But that's neither here or there. The point I'm trying to make with you, No Chill MMA, is that you cannot allow self-aggression and self-inflicted pain and self-induced damage that can further hinder your long-term health. So if he's bleeding to the point where it's just out of control, you have to tell him that, hey, listen, the Prophet said that you have to practice moderation and you cannot practice self-aggression in any kind of way because this is a form of self-transgression. So I hope that answered your advice on No Chill MMA. Juiceman562 says, who are your top 5? That's a very good question. Of all time or right now? Right now, let's go with right now, okay? My top 5 right now, I'm going to go with John Jones, number 1. I know that's controversial, but activity or inactivity, he's been active every year since he won the title and has fought at least once or twice every single time, if not even more, and then has the long reigning championship to back it up. So that's 1, John Jones. Number 2 is Islam Makhachev. Number 3, right now, I'm going to say Bilal Muhammad. Number 4, I'm going to say Ilia Topuria. He deserves that one. And number 5, it has to be somebody active right now. So number 5, it belongs to Alex Pereira because of the activity that he has put on from the time that he was from the time that he debuted in the UFC to the time that he became champion. And even though he lost to Uncle Liev, he belongs right up there. So I'm going to put number 5 and number 5 or number 6, Uncle Liev. But yeah, you only asked for 5, so I'm going to put Pereira in that one. But 5 or 6 can switch up between Pereira and Uncle Liev because of how fresh that matchup is. Eli Jane Carter says, but I think Canada and us are friends, but I don't know. Yeah, they are. They are friends, but I think the Donald Trump administration right now may cause certain strains between the two nations based on these tariffs. So I think that is, I think that's just the overwhelming reality of what is going on right now. So I hope that that answers your question right there. Let me step out of here, out of the car real quick. I'm at the park right now. So let me show you guys a little bit of some palm trees right here. Beautiful California. You know, so for those of you that are in the East Coast right now, it's probably very dark where you are at in the East Coast right now. And if you look right behind me, yeah, right behind me, there's a lot of good sunshine going on. So we're going to try to take advantage of that and give some good views for our people in the East Coast and everywhere else. So let's see here. Okay, dude, Bilal is nothing. He beats jobbers, and he said he would give the belt to Islam. GSP is a GOAT. No failed drug test, correct? I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We aren't friends. Oh, okay. Your administration has guaranteed that. Yeah. And you know what? It seemed like it's a long time coming, right? Look, I know there's a lot of conservatives in Canada, but there's also a huge flux of liberals in Canada because that place just breeds liberalism for whatever it's worth, right? So now that you have two countries that have two opposing views right now, America has become so right-wing due to the Donald Trump influence and, of course, the help of Dana White and his influence. You can't deny that as well. That kind of shows you the power of the UFC, right? So don't listen to Kanye's new album. Shout out to Toxic Gameplays, my man. Can I go to Canada? Jason Toxic Gameplays asks. Jason Brophy says, our country is split like yours. Okay, that's also very true. That's also a very good point right there, Jason, that there is a split between our two nations, and that is an interesting fact to sort of bring up. So, yes, the sun hitting you just right. That's right, man. Yes, that's what I love. You, Mr. Palad says, you look like Obama. Jason Brophy says, we aren't liberal. West is all conservative. So, okay, that's a good point too, Jason. There is a high flux of conservatism that is rising in the West right now. And I think that's just natural, right? After all the years of liberalism and this and that, I think there is a certain level of balance that comes back afterwards. So Mr. Pallet says, you look like Obama. Do I look like Obama or do I sound like Obama? There's a difference, Mr. Pallet. I think you would probably agree that I sound more like him than actually looking like him. Brophy says, we have an election on tonight. Okay, thank you for letting me know that. I always like to be tapped into whatever political matters that are going on around the world, political affairs, just so I can, be tapped in. Jason Brophy says he subbed. Shout out to Jason Brophy for subbing to my channel. I know that he's been a long-time listener, a long-time chatter in the chats, so I always welcome his presence here. Hope everything is fine. Slick 83 says, Toxic Gameplay says, has anyone told you that you look like the guy who commentates fights named Kyrie? I had to think about that one for a second. All right. Shout out to Toxic Gameplays for that one. Big election. Who's boss? All right. So now that we've read all those comments, let's go into the next topic at hand. What is the next topic at hand that we have right now? The next topic at hand that we have right now is Netflix, UFC, Netflix, and all of that. Unbiased fight picks too. Yeah, you're right. I try to be unbiased, right? Obviously, like, for example, take the Bilal Muhammad and the JDM fight. Let's go for a drive real quick. The JDM and Bilal Muhammad fight, that right there is going to be a banger, okay? It's not going to be an easy fight for Bilal Muhammad. But if I really believe that Jack Della Maddalena could knock out Bilal Muhammad, I would say so. In fact, I would not even disagree with the notion that that possibility could happen. However, of all the years that I've watched mixed martial arts, it has always been the wrestler that always takes advantage of the whole entire fight. It never fails. Wrestling always wins. Now, what's exciting about mixed martial arts is that wrestlers get knocked out. Look at Chad Mendes with Conor McGregor. He got knocked out. He got laid out, and he tried to wrestle Conor McGregor. Of course, Conor McGregor wanted to do that same thing to Khabib, but guess what happened? The wrestling skills of Khabib and the wrestling skills of Bilal Muhammad, which are one and the same because they train in the same team, are very difficult to deal with. And quite frankly, I don't even know why Jack Della Maddalena is a #1 contender, but I get it. Shavkat had his chance. He couldn't do it. So instead, he had to end up fighting Ian Gary. or I believe there was some kind of injury to where Bilal Muhammad wasn't able to step in there. But nonetheless, that's the reality of the situation, right? Oh, that golden hour sun hitting. Yes, bro, you would be great. You would be a great company spokesman. Well, I tell you what, that is the reason why I'm doing this particular topic right now with Francis Ngannou, and in particular, the public relations, right? And don't get it twisted. We're still going to talk about the UFC's deal that they have going on that's very difficult to get over the line because, yes, we're going to talk more about that. But what's going on with Francis Ngannou right now is something that I've had experience with. So let me explain one of my experiences that I've had during college. Okay, I interned for a state assemblyman by the name of Brian Mainshine. Okay, so Brian Mainshine was a former Democrat who became, a former Republican who became a Democrat. So I said, you know what? This is cool. I'm going to go and intern with this guy. And not because I'm a staunch Democrat or because I'm a staunch Republican or anything like that. What I loved about Brian Mainshine as a state assemblyman is that he is able to change his mind if he feels that it can be conducive to something that is of a better idea, rather than sticking to an idea that he feels is a never-ending solution. You understand what I'm saying? So that is the reason why I decided to intern with him. And obviously my degree is that of public relations. So what's going on with Bilal Muhammad right now? Oh, I'm sorry, not Bilal Muhammad. What is going on with Francis Ngannou right now? Okay, this is what's going on with Francis Ngannou right now. Right now, Francis Ngannou has a PR team helping him behind the scenes due to the fact that this is what public relations teams do. Jason Brophy says Shavkat would beat Bilal by decision 5 rounds, and Chad Mendes had a 2-week camp. That's true. I was here with Chad Mendes when that happened. As a matter of fact, that was 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Wow, that's crazy, man. I was working for a finance mortgage company 10 years ago, but yeah, I had to let that job go because charging interest is against Islamic interests, so I had to go do something else. But on any event, LOL, Bilal broke his toe. That's right, yes. Toxic Gameplay says he's level-headed. Who is level-headed? Are you talking about me, or are you talking about specific people that I am speaking about? Let me know specifically who exactly you mean. So, okay. So, what else? Okay. Right now, there's a big cover-up that is going on. And look, this is not something that I feel comfortable talking about. You want to know why? Because one thing is that I'm not a snitch. The political campaign you work for. Yeah, that's the thing. You look up Brian Mainshine, state assemblyman. That's the guy that I've worked for in the past, right? So very level-headed guy, obviously. And you know what? I don't like politicians. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like politicians. I don't like a lot of celebrities. I don't like a lot of athletes, aside from mixed martial arts fighters. And then there's a lot of mixed martial arts fighters that you would imagine I don't like either. So you're asking yourself, why would I engage myself in some sort of what do you call it? A public relations campaign? Why would I even get into that career if I don't like these types of people? Well, here's the thing, right? Fighters, athletes, celebrities, and all of the above, all of these guys are human beings too. So you got to think, who is the best human being that you want to represent? And I just looked at it and I was like, you know what? Brian Mainshine seems like the right guy to get behind. I mean, there's a lot of good reasons why you should get behind him, even though I'm antiquatedly opposed to most politicians. But on any regard, this is what's going on right now. They are making a campaign, right? And here's the thing. The fact that this is happening in Cameroon, this is a public relations agent's dream. I'm going to tell you why. Especially if you're the type of public relation agent that I am, because I'll tell you this, there's not a limit to what I will do if I am loyal to a person and I want to protect them. There is not a limit to what I will do. None whatsoever. If we got to go hide something, if we got to go hide this or that, if we got to hide you out, or we're going to do what it takes. We're going to do what it takes to also prove your innocence. That's what I would do for you as your agent. Now, you're in Cameroon. You're a public relations agent. Guess what? You have even bigger room and an even bigger circumference of actions that you can take in a country that, quite honestly and quite frankly, almost has no rules. You see, in the United States, when you work as any type of work, any type of profession, especially in public relations or becoming a lawyer or things of that nature, you have to play within the rules of the land, the law of the land. There's a lot of rules and regulations in the United States, so you can't just do what you want. But in Cameroon, you can. So I want you to use your imagination, because here's the thing, right? I really believe in the concept of no snitching, okay? I know a lot of people that believe in that concept as well. I'm great friends with them, and we're all great friends of each other, and we stand by that code. So as such, I don't want to point out exactly what it is that Francis Ngannou's team is doing, but rest assured, they would do the same thing that I would do if I was Francis Ngannou's agent. They would go the extra mile. You want to know what that is? Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button one more time for anybody that hasn't done it, and I'm going to explain to you exactly what I would be doing if I was in Cameroon right now as the public relations agent for Francis Ngannou. I'm going to tell you right now, okay? And you know what? What I'm about to tell you, I may just end up putting this on a members only stream, or maybe even put it on private. Maybe you'll never see this live stream ever again, because what I'm about to tell you is something most people that are not willing to admit in the world of public relations. Okay, so we got one like. That's good enough. I'll tell you right now. They would talk to the police, and you know what that entails? Giving them money. Okay? Because in the United States, you can't do that. You do that, what is that called when you give a police officer money? That's called bribing. Now, I know a lot of politicians, they bribe a lot of law enforcement officials. Kash Patel, the FBI director, is one of them. He's absolutely being bribed by Donald Trump, because you would imagine the type of compensation that Director Kash Patel is going to make after his career as the FBI director. You could imagine the type, exactly. You said it, I did it, Toxic Gameplays. Where the hell you're at this daytime still, 9:30 over here. Shout out to Paul, my man. I'm in the West, my man. I live in the West Coast, and as a result of living in the West Coast, it is 7:30 right now where I am at. And yeah, it's still daylight over here in the West Coast. So shout out to everybody in the West Coast and everywhere across the world. River Rat says, I love your videos. Shout out to you, River Rat. What part of the world are you from? I'm assuming with a name like that, maybe you're from here in Sacramento, but if not, let me know. But thank you for your kind gestures and your kind words. And shout out to you, bro. King Taj. Shout out to King Taj tapping in right now. So we got everybody around the world tapping into the chat right now. Paul says big ups. What part of the world are you from, Big Paul? You said that it's still 9:30 where you're at, so I'm assuming you're probably either in the mountainside or Midwest. That's my assumption to that. So yeah, the Toxic Gameplays took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what the PR agents of Francis Ngannou are doing right now in Cameroon, Chicago, Illinois. Shout out to Chicago, Illinois, King Von City, King Von and Little Dirk, Free Little Dirk. Everybody that's in Chicago, yeah, Free Little Dirk, my fellow Muslim brother at that. You know, not the biggest fan of Chicago rap music because I'm more of a West Coast guy, but he is my Muslim brother, and that trumps over any regional politics or any gang politics or anything in between. So, yeah, man. What's up, my brother? Anthony Science says, what's up? Let me know what part of the world you are from, Anthony Science. Shout out to everybody. He sniped your time zone, Paul. Nailed it once. Nailed it in one guess. Yeah. I just a process of elimination. I mean, obviously, I didn't get the right guess straight away, but I'm just assuming. Yeah, obviously 2 hours away. So what would be a major city? Okay, that's Chicago, Midwest. That could also encompass Detroit. Maybe even in the mountainside of things, although they have their own time zone, from what I understand, right? So Anthony Science says, I am from Texas, brother. What about you? I am from sunny Sacramento, California. Represent. By the way, you usually see a video of me at the Rich Trapper show, basically wearing this same shirt, or at least, I have several of these blue shirts. Don't ask me why I wear blue all the time, but I live in California, so you would probably guess why. But put it like this, right? I said something to the effect of, if you want all your MMA news, reviews, events, and all of that, tap into Kyrie Abu El-Kheer MMA, Sacramento, California. Represent. I usually put that on the end of most of my videos if you guys don't notice. But
MMA needs, if you want to find predictions,
Texas,
news,
so they're only
and everything that deals with MMA, shout outs to Kyrie Abu El-Kheer MMA, Sacramento, California. Represent.
That's right, Kyrie. I appreciate you, my nigga. You came in here, you was talking that shit. That's right, bro. Much love, Flo. I appreciate you for always stepping in, bro. Be safe out there. Man, my nigga Kyrie, my man Kyrie came through. He started talking that shit. Hey, here's the thing. Here's the thing. That nigga will whoop your fucking ass. You will think that nigga's all squared up and all that type of shit. Nigga come through and beat your fucking ass. Like, man. Fuck you up. You will never see it coming. So for those of y'all,
do you feel like you have more East or West Coast in you? Toxic Gameplay says, great question, because I obviously grew up in the East Coast. I'm gonna say West Coast. I think that I've been embedded in the West Coast culture for a long time. I came out here in my early 20s after getting out of the Marine Corps, and then never left since. Went to school out here, found jobs out here, built my family out here. So I would say I'm more of a West Coast guy now. So it spells Kyrie, but pronounced like Kyrie. Paul says, you crippin', haha. So I'm not surprised, mother effers. Damn, you was a Marine? What the F? Yeah, I have a picture of my dress blues in the community section. If you want to check it out, like just a few months back, I remember posting my dress blues Marine Corps uniform in that. I believe it was my Marine Corps graduation, but nonetheless, yeah, had different experiences in life. So, that's why I love getting into YouTube and sort of, giving some stories of my life experiences and trying to relate it to the world. But yeah. Okay. So what else? What else do we have here? Okay. So next story at hand, right? We're going to go for another 20 minutes and then we'll go from there. Okay. We're going to go for another 20 minutes, bro. Story times would be lit. Yes, bro. Story times would be lit. Yes, I agree with you. Toxic Gameplays. So that is what Francis Ngannou and his team are doing right now, right? They're doing a lot of cleaning under the table, and being that they are in Cameroon, they can get away with a lot of things. Now, here's the other aspect that we are going to talk about. You're in OIF vet, huh? OIF vet. Okay, so here's, I didn't want to get off track with what I wanted to say, right? But what about the victim of this whole entire fiasco, right? This whole entire disastrous situation, which is Francis Ngannou's victim. I feel for that person. I really do. I feel bad for that person. But what I'm about to say right now is going to be very controversial, and I'm going to need you guys to hit the like button one more time and also hit the subscribe button, because what I'm about to tell you could be controversial, but at the same time, I think you would understand it if you let me cook on this and listen up to the message that I'm trying to convey in this particular situation, in this particular unique situation. So here it goes. Somebody dying, especially by accident, you're never going to get justice by locking up the person that accidentally did it. In Islam, there's no such thing as there is a manslaughter charge in Islamic countries, but there is a thing called blood money. What is blood money? I'll give you an example of what blood money is. Okay? Blood money is when you accidentally kill someone in a car accident. This is an example of blood money. So what does Francis Ngannou have to do as punishment? Or, I mean, not even punishment. I wouldn't consider it as punishment, more like doing money to that family. This is how Islamic. Okay, so now I'm going to bring up something extremely controversial right now. First, let me read this Toxic Gameplay's comment. What did Toxic Gameplays here says? He says, no disrespect. Do you think his son Kobe's death changed him? No. Oh, is that his son's name, Kobe? I didn't know he named his son Kobe. Okay, when I saw that comment, you know, in the bottom of my eye, I thought you were talking about Kobe's death exclusively, but I think you're talking about Kobe, the sons of Francis Ngannou. Yes, I think that changed him a lot. And I'm going to get to that in a second too, but think of it like this, right? What I'm about to say to you is very controversial. In 2014, I saw an ISIS video, okay? And let me tell you what I saw out of that ISIS video. I saw an Islamic court proceedings that was going on under the government of ISIS. You want to know what I saw? They had a family member that accidentally shot another family member with a shotgun. And this is a proven fact that it was by accident. It was not done by malicious intent. It was not done by murderous rage or anything like that. It was an accident. What did that government force that family to do? Did they put them to prison? No, they did not. They did not go to prison. Did they get lashes? Because in Islamic nations, you do get lashes if you do certain actions or do certain things. Those things do happen. You do get lashed. That's not the case. You want to know what else happened? They asked the family to pay blood money. Now, I'm not here to tell you that ISIS is the most righteous group out there or anything like that. That's the last thing I'm trying to tell you. But what I'm trying to tell you is that most Islamic governments, not just ISIS, by the way, they're nowhere near to be existing in this earth right now. And you could probably thank Donald Trump for that particular instance. But this is how most Islamic nations would go about this situation. The same thing in Saudi Arabia. If you accidentally kill somebody, it is blood money that you pay. So obviously ISIS sort of followed suit and did the same thing. So yes, even with a vicious group like ISIS, who even swears by their allegiance that they follow the stand that an accidental murder, what you need to do with a punishment society, people that will go out and kill for no apparent reason whatsoever, people that kill for just the simple-minded rage of things. Those are the people that you have to lock up, and those are the people that you have to punish, not the ones that made an accident. And this is where Francis Ngannou is at. Toxic Gameplay says less punishment and more like attainment. Toxic Gameplay says a broken clock is right twice a day. Correct. And I think that reference that you made right there is regarding ISIS and their Islamic ruling in that particular case of that video that I saw in 2014. Paul says facts. Yes, shout out to Paul, by the way, and everybody in Chicago, Illinois. So what I'm trying to say is that we don't know what the laws of Cameroon are, right? We don't know if they have manslaughter laws or if they have laws regarding accidental deaths or things of that nature. What we do know is that Francis Ngannou did not do this on purpose. We obviously know that Francis Ngannou is not a murderous guy, and if he was going to murder anybody, it would not be a girl that is in a pedestrian mode. Okay, an innocent girl that is in pedestrian mode. He obviously did this out of accident. So is it fair for us to take away everything that he has going on? And by the way, as a mixed martial arts fan, you also got to understand, maybe I'm coming from a very selfish idea with this concept. Think about this. A girl just died, and I'm over here talking about how we can get Francis Ngannou less punishment because I'm an MMA guy, because I want to see MMA flourish, because I want to see the big fights. That's the selfish side of me. I want to see Francis Ngannou fight his next fight and for me to react to it, because reacting to his fights, like any major combat sports figures fights, are going to bring in views for your channel. So yes, there is a selfish element that you have to understand that I'm coming from. However, it still doesn't dismiss the fact that he did not mean to do this. And as a result of that, we really should punish him accordingly. And that is by blood money, because all of this was an accident. So now that that's said, okay, what did he say here? What did this guy here? I think this guy is gay. He's driving and drinking. Okay, well, I'm going to time you out for that lost decade, because I don't drink at all. So I don't know what you're talking about with drinking or anything like that. I'm probably the last person on YouTube in YouTube MMA that would drink, okay? Because that's just not what I do. But Paul says someone who kills over road rage and stuff like that should be jailed. Correct. This is not the case, is it? I don't think Francis Ngannou ran this person over with a murderous rage or anything like that. And for as scary as Francis is, he is like the most jolly dude that you will ever meet. And most fighters that have met him and other people and other fans and media figures that have been across him will say the same thing. Did Francis hit someone with his car? This is new to me. I believe it was with a bike. I believe he was on a bike. And yeah, because that's obviously the picture that I have on the thumbnail right now was the bike that he used for this accident. So here in the U.S., Toxic Gameplay says, here in the USA, though your chances are only as good as your legal counsel. That is correct. That is correct. And you know what? In third world countries, you're only as good as how far money can reach to bribe the local authorities. Although, unfortunately for Vitaly, he's not able to pay off anybody in the Philippines. I don't know what's going on in the Philippines. You know, I had experience traveling in the Philippines before, and I could tell you, you could get away with so much in that country, at least back in the days, right? Back in the days, you could get away with whatever. Nowadays, a little bit different because you have a different administration, and that's sort of the same with America, right? Different things happen when there's a different leader in the White House. Obviously, there were drastic things that were different during the Biden administration, during the Bush administration, during the Obama administration, and now even more drastically different in the Trump administration as a result of that. So yes, I think that is all predicated on that. But right now, the reason why the management team of Francis Ngannou, in particular his PR team, are very quiet about this subject is because they're holding their cards right in. They don't want to give away anything yet. Think of blackjack. Not that I play these games or anything like that, although I have before, not in a gambling capacity. But yeah, if you play card games, you don't show your cards. You are very reluctant in showing your cards because you don't want people to know what's up under your sleeve. Right? There's a lot of strategy going on right now. It's all within the preliminary stages, and they are hard at work at doing what it is that they need to do. in order to get Francis Ngannou over the legal line, okay, or whatever it is that they can do to compensate for this bad PR nightmare. Because notice, a lot of the MMA media ain't covering this. Did you see Ariel Helwani today talk about this in his 4-hour show? Now, look, granted, his show is about 4 hours long, right? 4 hours long of a podcast, right? He's got different guests today. I believe he had George St. Pierre. He had Dustin Poirier. He had Ian Gary. He always has an all-star group of people, but nowhere near, I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, nowhere in that 4-hour stream did he mention this. Obviously, MMA Guru did mention this in his live stream earlier, which is perfectly okay, right? Because he's independent media. He's not owed to anybody. I talk about this because I'm independent media. I don't work for any news company or anything like that. If anything, my journalism degree falls under the opposite side of journalism. You see, journalism and PR are the same degree. Did you know that? So in other words, Ariel Helwani could also become a public relations agent, which is the reason why he behaves in such matters, because he looks like he really does shill for the UFC, even though he has a bad relationship with Dana White. Reminds me of when Errol Spence got into that accident. Yes and no. You see, that accident that Errol Spence got into was self-induced. I don't think he hurt anybody. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody was involved in that situation, let me know. But from what I recall, there was nobody involved other than Errol Spence himself. So please let me know on the comment section below if that is the case, because that is how I remember it. If I'm wrong, please correct me, because, yeah, I don't mind being corrected as long as I have the right information. But, yeah, that's a little bit different. This one is way drastically different due to the fact that somebody got unalived. And you know what? They're trying to cover up that because Francis Ngannou is a big star. If you work for a company that is managing Francis Ngannou, you're hard at work right now. You are hard at work, and you need to be hard at work because this is what you need to do. Oh, what did he say here? He was drunk driving, and he couldn't hurt, and he could have hurt someone. He only hurt and ruined his boxing career. Toxic Gameplay says yes, and that is regarding Errol Spence. MO3 was chasing him, and people say that Errol Spence paid for MO3 to get killed. What? Oh, wow, okay. You know what? I wouldn't put it past Errol Spence. I mean, you look at the people that Errol Spence hangs out with, right? Yella Beezy. By the way, for those of you that don't know Yella Beezy, he's a Rolling 60s Crip, right? So he's affiliated with Big U, all those guys from Rolling 60s Crip, including, what's his name? Including Brick Baby from No Jumper. Obviously, if you guys follow that case going on right now, that's a case in and of itself that is happening right now. And yeah, those are some legal troubles that Big U and some No Jumper characters are sort of facing right now as well. So it's just something to think about there. Okay, but yeah, that's interesting. Toxic Gameplays. That's a very interesting information regarding some inside street stuff. So thank you for that particular information that you conveyed to us right there. So I hope you guys understand now where I'm going with this in terms of the games of PR management and this and that. By the way, part of PR also is talking behind the scenes to journalists. And that's something that I forgot to mention here, which I think is a very important point. So why are you not hearing this from Ariel Helwani? Why are you not hearing this from Chael Sonnen? Why are you not hearing this from, who else is a top MMA journalist? How about Nina Drama? You're not going to hear this from Nina Drama. No way. Nina Drama would not touch this subject whatsoever. There is no way she would touch this subject. There is no way Chael would touch it. There is no way Daniel Cormier would touch it, even though they are all UFC guys, and Francis Ngannou is no longer in the UFC. But what's the common denominator? What is the common denominator? The common denominator are the PR agents, the managers and the agents, and the managers of the fighters, along with the matchmakers and the people that are involved in the media conglomerate that cover MMA. So as a result of that, people talk, people go behind the scenes and say, hey, you know what? Don't say this because this is what's happening. Okay? Don't say that. And sometimes these people have relationships. Let's not forget, Francis Ngannou has a great relationship with everybody in MMA. Who does he really have beef with? He doesn't have beef with anybody. He's not like Conor McGregor. He's not like Nate Diaz or any of these guys that get into trouble or make quarrels with people like Colby Covington. He's none of those things. So he's a likable guy, and therefore being likable, it makes it easy for people behind the scenes to get behind you. Whereas with Conor McGregor, they couldn't wait to bury him. So the main thing that you got to understand with this story is that people talk behind the scenes. Also, take a look at Deion Sanders' son. Now, I don't know a lot about American football. I don't know much about that sport. I don't really understand how the draft even comes about. But Deion Sanders' son was supposed to be drafted in the first round, and he didn't. You want to know why? Because he was making all of these outrageous demands to all these team owners behind the scenes. So guess what the team owners did? They went behind his back, they talk, and they're like, hey, listen, this guy is a liability. He is a liability. He's Deion Sanders' father. Deion Sanders is becoming a liability himself, just talking out of his ass and then just doing this and that. He's going to be a problem. And in the NFL, just like in the UFC, and Francis Ngannou found this out the hard way, nobody is bigger than the program. They don't need you. That's the UFC's model. They don't need anyone. They can make anyone into a star. And they know that. They don't care if you're the best in the world. They don't care if you're pound for pound number one. You could be pound for pound number one everywhere else but the UFC. And you know what? Dana White has said this to, what's his name? To Paul Daly when he kicked Paul Daly out of the UFC. So that's what we got going on with that, right? Nobody is bigger than the program. So I hope you guys understand the message that I'm trying to convey with Francis Ngannou and what is going on right now, even with the preliminary stages of having very limited information that we have on this particular matter right now. But I think as time goes on, everything that I said in this particular live stream right now is going to age very well as more information comes out, or lack of information that comes out, because ultimately that is what you have to do as a PR agent, is not allow things to get out into the public. That is why they call it public relations, because they have relations with the public in ways that they want to let you know what they wish to let you know, and that's it. You have all types of relations with people, right? You have relations with coworkers. Do you tell them everything? What if your boss tells you, hey, this is for your eyes only, and it's only confidential between me and you? Do you go and tell your other coworkers what you and your boss talked about, or the future plans that you have in your promotion and things of that nature? No, they're not going to do that. What did they say here? Forgot to say, man, thank you for your service, especially when we were at war. Okay. Toxic Gameplay says they passed on to him, Paul, with a laughing emoji. Toxic Gameplay says, yeah, they tried to blacklist him. Mark Whalen says, bro, Conor does a good job in making people not want him relevant. His actions outside the UFC is at best cringeworthy. That's what I'm saying, man. So you would imagine that if you're the public relations agent for Conor McGregor, the top dollars that you get because of the cleaning up that you have to do. Even Daniel Cormier said to John Jones's publicist one time, right? Which, by the way, is what a public relation is. So when you hear the word publicist or public relations, that's one and the same. That's like saying a doctor or a medical doctor, or just a doctor, period. It's all in the same vocabulary, the same meaning of that vocabulary. But John Jones's publicist was told by Daniel Cormier, man, you know, they got you working double time, huh? And he said this to his publicist during UFC 200 when the fight had been taken away due to the fact that John Jones was caught with steroids. You guys know the deal. You guys remember that. So, yeah. Man, that's what it is, man. Some fighters and some celebrities are really hard to deal with. And you know what? Some of the case studies that I've done in college when it came to public relations was some case studies dealing with Robert Downey Jr. Okay, that's a great example of what you can do for your client as a public relations agent. Also, another one was 50 Cent. Although 50 Cent is a little bit mild-mannered, he's also very media trained, and as a result of that, he can really dodge himself out of a lot of scandals. Here's another scandal. Now look, I want you to understand, I don't know if this is real or not, but what I will say is that 50 Cent is no different than anybody else when it comes to using public relations agents and publicists to help cultivate his image into the most positive way possible. Okay? So it's not a surprise. They made us do case studies on 50 Cent in college as a public relations agent. So you know for a fact that he's used public relations agents in this type of matter before. My professor, I believe, was, well, let's just say that he worked with a lot of Hollywood people. So I would assume that that is the reason why he used 50 Cent as, you know, as a serious case study for that matter. Okay, let me read some of the chats here. Okay, cringeworthy. Don't crash. Noah Blake says, please. Yeah, man. Why would I? Thanks for the lookout anyway. Mark Whelan says, facts. So one last thing before I go, we're going to talk about the UFC deal with Netflix, right? Or lack of deal with Netflix. So they don't want all of the catalog because they know that it's just nothing but fluff. You see, the main thing that we talked about here in this whole entire live stream is that people behind the scenes talk to each other. Even team owners that are opposed to each other, but they are all friends by the end of the day because whether they win or they lose, they all win because they take your money whenever you go to their team's games. So they all are collaborative with each other in some kind of way. So are all the TV networks. They are all collaborative with each other in some kind of way. And why am I bringing that up? Because the TV networks are talking to each other behind the scenes and they are saying, you know what? Don't sign with the UFC. You want to know why? They're going to give you nothing but fluff. And you guys know this. You guys as consumers who complain time in and time out every week understand that. You guys see what's going on. You don't like all of the Apex cards that they're throwing out there. You don't like all of these meaningless fights that they have going on there. But you know what? There is a purpose behind it. Think about this, right? Carlos Prates is a star right now. Now, why is he a star? Because he was able to fight all of these meaningless fights that you call meaningless events and eventually racked up all of these fights and notoriety as a result of that. Kevin Holland, no different in that situation. All these guys that fight a lot in the UFC are no different in that. Cowboy Cerrone is also no different in that. After he had that Conor McGregor fight, it was back to the apex for him. Okay? So there is a purpose to this oversaturation. But Netflix doesn't want it because when it comes to views, when it comes to garnering attention from a TV network or a TV network trying to garner attention from an audience, it is not about a long-term effect because that is the long-term game that the UFC is trying to play. They're throwing out all these cards to accommodate for their 400, 500-man roster, maybe even more. I think we're talking about like 800-man roster, and somehow make them relevant in any shape, way, or form that they can by giving them fights, and by doing that, putting out an oversaturated product. Now, that's good in the long term because you build stars, but Netflix wants the stars right now. In other words, behind the scenes, what they're probably talking about is they want limited amounts of pay-per-views, and that is all that they want. They want to have pay-per-view fights and nothing more, nothing less. They don't want the fluff. They don't want the oversaturation. They don't want the consistency of a weekly event that almost means nothing with mediocre names. They want the big names right now, and they want it fast, okay? They don't want to build any stars. They're not interested in putting on 800 guys or anything like that. They want the big stars. They want Conor McGregor. They want John Jones. They want El-Kheer. They want Alex Pereira. They want Ankalaev. They want Islam Makhachev. They want all the big names. It's big names or no names at all. That is Netflix deal. So what the UFC is going to do is scatter do maybe a few fights in Fight Pass, which is not a bad idea, right? They can just build off of their own network, but who knows? But that is what is going to happen, just like most sports, right? What do you see in most sports? What you see in most sports is that they have multiple TV networks to watch certain games. Think about that. It's multiple networks that they have. It's before I head out. Yeah, I think Mark Whelan says, yeah, I think in most cases you can sweep certain things under the carpet. However, when issues keep rising up, it gets very hard for the public relations manager to be successful. That's right. That's why it is very different. Jones, to yourself. All right. Well, what an idiotic comment. One-minute timeout, and I'm literally about to be out of here in 1 minute. Money from the big names. Mark Whelan says, yes, they want things to go viral so fighters become superstars. A lot of these Apex cards. But on any event, guys, that is all that I have for you right now. I hope you guys enjoyed all the informative conversations in different fields to sort of give a perspective on what is going on with this matter, but also peace and love, bro. I subbed. Shout out to Paul. Thank you for subbing, and thank you for liking and subscribing. And for everybody else around the world, thank you for tapping in. I hope that I gave you guys the best information on this particular matter at hand, because the way that I looked at it was like, man, there's not a lot of people that's talking about this particular matter in this particular way. But you're going to see as days go on, you're going to watch other people, other content creators, other MMA
MMA needs if you want to find predictions, news, and everything that deals with MMA. Shout outs to Kyrie, El-Kheer MMA, Sacramento, California, represent.
That's right, Kyrie. I appreciate you, my nigga. You came in here, you was talking that shit. That's right, bro. Much love, Flo. I appreciate you for always stepping in, bro. Be safe out there. Man, my nigga Kyrie, my man Kyrie came through. He started talking that shit. Hey, here's the thing. Here's the thing. That nigga will whoop your fucking ass. You will think that nigga's all squared up and all that type of shit. Nigga come through and beat your fucking ass. Like, man, fuck you up. You will never see it coming. So for those of y'all
Here we go. 1 hour and 25 minutes into the stream. Excuse me. We have begun. All right. So the Riyadh boxer, Alakel, taking on Morales. Sorry. Obviously, this kid has been a stable in the Saudi boxing leagues, right? A homegrown Saudi boxer that they built up in the UK, quite simply because what the Saudis have going on is more of, how do I say this? A Saudi UK type of boxing system. If you look at the way that they set up their production, it is UK related. It is UK centric. Very much UK represented in Saudi boxing. Probably with the influence of the likes of Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, and also the legacy that they sort of represent, both of them. But nonetheless, here's Alakel now with the win on points versus Morales, a staple in these boxing TKO events in Riyadh in particular, but also not just a staple, but an opener. He's been an opener in the last couple of shows lately, and obviously their whole entire goal is to obviously get this kid ready for a top level at some point. Now, it's not a secret in any kind of degree. He is a Saudi project, and they want to see him go far, and I think that they are giving him small step after small step just so that he can really get ready for the pros. Again, just like how they really get all pros ready. It's no different with this kid. It was no different in the way that they got Jake Paul ready. It's also no different in the way that they got Joe Calzaghe and Floyd Mayweather ready, but also going into an undefeated career of some sort. But on any regard, there's Jaime Munguia right there walking into the arena right now. All right, here we go. Next fight, right here. Polina. 30 minutes from now, we will also be covering the UFC. So don't forget, we're also going to be here to cover the UFC as well. We're going to cover both. So stay locked in for this one. All right, Alfonso Zamora. All right, guys, the fight is about to start. Beyond season. Here we go. All right, here we go, guys. Both of the fighters are receiving instructions right now. Referee says, protect yourself at all times, lads. Protect yourselves at all times. All right, here we go. All right, so Marco Verde versus Polina. Oh, he hit him with a body shot right there, and he goes down easily. Wow, literally within the first 30 seconds. That's it. Yeah, that's it. With the second shot. Oh, wow. He got up at the count of 9. Wow. 2 knockdowns within the first minute. And he is going to look to finish, but look at the combinations of Verde right now. Yeah, just using nothing but speed shots on the part of Verde right now. Ooh, that's a good body shot right there. And by the way, guys, don't forget that in less than 30 minutes from now, oh, that's it. The referee actually waves it. All right, well, that's a first round knockout by Verde right there, and that is it. Yeah, it was over, man. It was over. Just like that. All right, well, on to the next fight. Yeah, the referee had no confidence whatsoever in Polina. I mean, Polina did a very good job of like getting up twice from those 2 hard body shots. But then when Verde started raining shots on him, 1-2 after 1-2 after 1-2, the referee just decided, you know what, this is over. He has nothing here now. All right, well, they're about to make this one official. Let's listen to this. All right, by technical knockout. And how about this? This is his debut. Which is insane to think about, right? It's his pro debut. Oh, that body shot was good, man. Once he went down on that body shot, that was it. All right, well, next fight coming up right now. Let's see here. I think we got some heavyweights right now. All right, here's Richard RiakPorhe. Wow, man, Richard RiakPorhe is about to make a heavyweight debut. Now, how crazy is that? Yeah, RiakPorhe definitely looks like he belongs in a heavyweight division with the way he's well built himself. Looks a bit of like Frank Bruno of some sort, doesn't he? Oh wow! But look at this, EspinDola sort of giving it to RiakPorhe. Oh wow! They said that he's wearing gym shorts. He's not really wearing like real boxing trunks. Yeah, RiakPorhe looks like he belongs in a heavyweight division, and this guy looks like an overweight man even for the heavyweight division. There's Ben Shalom with Eddie Hearn right there. 14-hour flight from New York, now into Riyadh. Probably the most busiest man in boxing right now. Now he's got EspinDola cornered right now. Sort of really taking his time. I do feel like RiakPorhe could go a lot quicker, but I think maybe he's reluctant and just trying to handle what it's like to fight at this size. Also, do not forget, we will also be covering the UFC as well.